This session, we are going to explore our other really important protective system, our immune system, and how that relates to pain. This is really important in helping us translate and normalize what the immune response can often mean for common aches and pains, implications for pain conditions like chronic widespread pain or fibromyalgia, how pain can spread, how old injuries and painful body parts can be reactivated and hurt again, neuroplasticity, smudging of body maps, and how we can reignite persistent swelling and immune buffering behaviors. Okay, lots of carryover and crossover to other target concepts that are combined into one session here in this immune system target concept, because it does, you know, the immune system and the nervous system, we broadly can connect and name as the neuroimmune system. It's so tightly entwined, and as you look through the deeper reading, you'll see that the immune system and nervous system are just so important. They work together, and they are two of our main protective systems. So being able to communicate how that works is something that is really quite important for you to be able to make sense of a lot of these things for yourself and for the people that you're going to be helping. Because the metaphor of the police force that we have is something that I want to introduce for you with regards to our immune system. It's designed like the police in real life to protect us from invaders and things that could be dangerous, like infection. Okay, these also are shooting around our body to be able to protect us, just like our nervous system, which is 400 individual nerves, 45 miles, all connected like highways and fizzing around using electrical activity like an alarm to protect us in the case of threat. Now, when you hurt your shoulder or when you hurt your back, your alarm system is kicking in to protect you. Okay, and once the threat of that back injury or the shoulder injury is removed by seeing a healthcare professional or getting serious causes ruled out, the threat is gone, and our nervous system can calm back down to its resting level for the next time that we have a threat. But what happens if that alarm keeps going off? Then in this building, if the alarm keeps going off, the buildings next door will start to be able to get a little bit irritated, and their alarms might start going off. And this is something that we call noisy neighbors. Okay, we have the alarm going off in the back, and then the noisy neighbors to the back is going to be the hips, or maybe it's the upper back, or if it was in the shoulder, maybe the noisy neighbor would become the neck, and the neck would start to hurt, and we start to get a migrating ache and pain that can be explained by our police going to check out the potential threat. And much like if we have a riot or if we have a bit of a ruckus and we call the police to get involved, initially things can get much more heated, and we can get more of a expression of our alarm system, because the immune system, the police are there and they're checking things out. And that can also explain how and why certain previous injuries or previous body parts can hurt, because the police, they come and check out why the alarm's going off, but they also check out old crime areas, and those can then start to hurt, not because they've become injured, but because the police are going there, and we have receptors for our immune system that set off nerve impulses, just like we have receptors for tissue damage, like treading on a rusted nail. You will be able to connect to a time when you've maybe had a virus or the flu, whereby your knees hurt, your hair hurts, your back hurts, all the different parts of your body can hurt, not because they've become injured, but because the police and our immune system is trying to protect us, and it's going to check out all of those different areas. If you're one of those people who unfortunately lives with or struggles with widespread persistent pain or something like fibromyalgia, what you are going through is your police are checking out all the different old crime scenes, all the different potential areas around our body that we can then experience as these different aches and pains that are really difficult to get our head around. But it's our immune system, and if we can reconceptualize that our immune system is trying to protect us, but a bit like having wine, we can have too much of a good thing, and an alarm system that's dialed up too much can be very frustrating, and it can be very painful. And we need to be able to have different ways to understand that, oh, it's my police, it's my immune system that is causing this, because how we calm our immune system down is going to be very different to how we try and fix a joint that we perceive to be broken or injured. The stress response is something that also is designed to protect us. If an African lion comes in the corner of the room where you're sat there now, you will have an immediate reaction of the fight or flight response, which we can go into more detail in another concept. But heart rate will go up, breathing will go up, eyes will dilate, and all of these responses are designed to get us out of the immediate threat, the fight or flight stress response. And that has some real implications for our nervous system if that is kept on for a prolonged period of time, okay? Because the systems that are not important to fight the lion off, so things like sleep, things like libido, things like pain, things like our immune system, none of those things are going to get us out of the immediate threat of a lion. But if we have chronic stress, then those systems can become part of the problem. So immune system, for example, which isn't prioritized, can then go on to us having a compromised immune system, which means that actually we're less effective at fighting viruses when they're about. And when we develop the symptoms of flu, we actually live and experience them much longer than if we were to be able to have effective strategies for managing our stress response and being able to have things that help us to be able to calm and find rest and relaxation and boost our immune system. Our immune system plays a really interesting role in neuroplasticity in our brain. We can do little experiments like, guess which hand this is? 3, 2, 1, and down. Have a little go, see if you can work out if that was a right or left hand. You're going to have another go at a different picture now. 3, 2, 1, and down. Was that a right or left hand? How did you know if it was a right or left hand? We have a virtual representation in our brain called the homunculus. It's a body in our mind, and it's a virtual representation of all the different body parts. And again, we dive deeper into this in another concept, but a cross-section of this part of our brain, the somatosensory cortex, would look like this, and it represents all the different parts of our body, hands through to our face, knees, feet, our privates, everything is included. And we have a sharp body map, if we were to be able to assess that via functional MRI, when we move the body often. Use it or lose it. If I don't use all of the movements available in my hand, then my body's very smart and efficient. It's going to take those movements away. So use it or lose it of my physical hand and of my virtual hand are going to be really important for keeping my body maps nice and sharp. But it's not just use it or lose it that keeps our body map sharp. We have evidence to show that if we have a compromised immune system, that can also compromise how sharp our body maps are. So even if we're doing really nice, accurate movements, mindful movements, if we're not doing the things that help boost our immune system, like exercise, like sleep, then we are still going to be missing a really key part in the neuroplasticity of changes in the brain that we can drive. And that's a really important part, especially with persistent aches and pains. And that's what that illustrates there, is the blurring that can happen with the neuroimmune mechanisms in the brain. Inflammation or neurogenic inflammation can be massively mediated by the immune system. If you were to feel and play with the spaghetti-like nodule between the bony parts in your elbow, then you would feel a little zing or zap that goes down into your hand there. So this would be our ulnar nerve, or our funny bone that carries information in, but if we press it on its course into our central nervous system, then we can actually make the impulse go that back the other way, retrograde firing. And again, this can then cause inflammatory mediators to be delivered via the nervous system. That means that we can have swelling, inflammation, and pain that is very much mediated by the immune system. If the immune system is compromised, or if the immune system is overactive, then that is something that we can understand from an ankle sprain that maybe is recurring with symptoms way beyond the tissue healing times, or after maybe surgery in a knee, that we get that issue with swelling and we cannot get to calm down. Immune system and the police is one way that we can really understand this. So your question at this point would hopefully be, okay, so the immune system, my immune system seems to be really important. What do I do about it? Which is a great question, and to get to that point with people you'll work with is absolutely essential, because then if they are asking that question, to then explore the things that can boost their immune system and manage things like chronic stress, then they're going to be well on their path to recovering and to being able to boost their immune system. We know that stress and anxiety has a massive impact on our nervous system and on our immune system. So strategies that help us find rest and relaxation are probably really worth their weight in gold in us being able to actually explore and implement these changes. If I was to ask you now that it's not an African lion coming into the room, it's a lion cub, what would your response be? It would probably not be the same as when the roaring African lion came into the room. Unless you have some sort of fear of teddy bears, you might actually go up and pet it. The threat is much less, and our response for protection as a result is also much less. So how do we turn an African roaring lion into a lion cub? Well, learning about pain, learning about our immune system, going through sessions like we're going through now, and how you can recycle this to be doing this in an individual way with people that you're going to be helping is going to be really important. Showing data, showing things like functional MRI scans. This top scan here is somebody who has back pain, and they're just lying in the MRI scanner, and you can see that this cross section of the brain is really nice and quiet. You ask that person to do a painful movement, and what we see is all of this metabolic activity involving all the different parts of their brain that is individual and unique about their pain experience. Now, what has been shown by scientists who work with pain education, delivering some neuroscience concepts just like this one that we're going through today. After 2 or 3 sessions, you ask somebody to do the same movement, and what we see is much less metabolic activity on the functional MRI scanner than the same movement before the education. So what we see there is a tangible way that an African lion is being turned into a lion cub. The threat is reduced, and it enables us to be able to see and feel the desensitizing process that is going to include boosting our immune system. Other things that we can do for our immune system are going to be very similar for mind-body practices for working with chronic stress. Things that you find really relaxing and engaging could include yoga, it could include stretching, it could include mindfulness. It could be that none of those things works for you, but what you find relaxing is something very different and individual. Like for me, walking outside in mountains, hiking, spending time with my dog or my family, spending time playing a musical instrument or even listening to music. I would challenge you to be able to think of the things that put you into flow, that engage you for the pure joy of doing them, and nothing else matters in the time that you're doing those things, because deep breathing, all of the different stuff that we've talked about here can be the most powerful ways that we can boost our immune system and reduce the pain that we're experiencing. Okay, it enables us to live well with pain and to have a toolbox and a strategy for not freaking out, for when we have flare-ups, for not needing to go and have somebody fix us, because we learn how to be able to self-manage effectively. Really, really powerful. So at the back of this session, because there's a lot of target concepts that are tied together through the immune system because it's so interwoven with our nervous system. There's a whole bunch of tasks at the back here. Again, asking and offering for you to reflect around any of the things there that went well and made sense and you feel like you could communicate that, or ones that didn't. So a lot of concepts in there, from chronic stress to the body and the mind to the education, all the different things. Jot down the things that maybe were that made sense, or things that you'd like to focus on in class, and we can go through those and even chat with your peers, because it may be that something that really makes sense for you doesn't for one of your classmates, and vice versa. Being able to explain how we have immune receptors on our nerves makes sense for then how our immune system can set off an alarm. See if you can explain that with your partners. Noisey neighbors. How can we get migrating aches and pains by waking up the body parts next door, or annoying the body parts next door because the alarm keeps going off and the police comes and it exaggerates and puts everything on rocket fuel? Can we paint our metaphorical lion that is potentially following us round and keeping us in fight or flight stress physiology, and the implications that has for our immune system? Those things, if we can address what they are, we can maybe accept some of them if we have no control over them, or we can address them. And it's not always our role as healthcare professionals to be able to solve those for you, but to connect some dots that maybe you can go away and explore the things that would come out of that. Sleep is our number one rocket fuel. It's if I could only do one thing for my well-being or my family's well-being, it would be to try and have enough sleep and high quality sleep. So there's some ideas in here for some typical things that can help people with improving their sleep, but it's not an easy thing to change. If someone's struggling with insomnia, if someone is not sleeping well, there is websites, there is resources that you can explore or help somebody to explore, because while it's very clear that it's important, it's not very clear how easy it is to change it. Being able to have an exercise program boosts our immune system. Hitting the physical activity guidelines, the things that you enjoy, you're more likely to stick with. So having a schedule can help both you and maybe people that you're working with. Working with athletes, they're often training too much, so being able to help them find recovery strategies is going to be more of a flipped version of being able to help with exercise of people who potentially are exercising too much and they're burning out. You know, there's a balance to being able to reason this both ways. Logbooks, I will always encourage my clients and students to journal what they're doing. If my patients are struggling to connect what is contributing to their symptoms, then getting them to have a logbook or a little notebook or even on their phone helps to try and identify patterns. Goal setting, really important. A man with a goal is someone who is going to achieve something. It taps into the psychological mechanisms of having something to look forward to, which again, low mood, depression, anxiety can be a big factor in a lot of these things, and a coping strategy and some breathing exercises that you can explore, because all these are going to be really powerful ways to help you understand how the immune system integrates with the nervous system. And then the challenge is, how do we apply that and work with implementing this with our patients?